How's it going, everyone? Austin Honecker here. I just wanted to come on here for a while and give my review for All Elite Wrestling's AEW Dynamite from tonight, which is April 28th, 2021. I gotta say it was awesome from start to finish. For the matches, match 1, it was Brian Cage versus Hangman Page. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Brian Cage went over with the drill claw, but before the match, as Hangman Page was making his entrance, Team Taz, which are Brian Cage, Ricky Starks, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Hook, came out and attacked Hangman Page from behind, beating the shit out of him, and the Dark Order, which are Evil Uno, Stu Grayson, Alex Reynolds, 5'10", and Colt Cabana, came out to save Hangman Page by attacking Team Taz, so the Dark Order and Team Taz ended up in a brawl beating the shit out of each other, and the referees had to come out and break it up, and Brian Cage attacked Hangman Page with a powerbomb on the stage and threw him in the ring, and the match started, which that was cool. Match 2, it was the Young Bucks, which are Matt and Nick Jackson, versus the Seidel brothers, which are Matt and Mike Seidel. That was a great match, but the ending to it, the Young Bucks went over because Nick Jackson pinned Mike Seidel with the BTE trigger from Matt and Nick Jackson. Match 3, it was Orange Cassidy versus Pena El Cerro Miedo. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Orange Cassidy went over with the Orange Punch with a microphone. Well, to explain why Orange Cassidy used a microphone to execute the Orange Punch is because Alex Abrahantes attempted to interfere and talk shit to Orange Cassidy, but Orange Cassidy grabbed Alex Abrahantes and threw him in the ring and took the microphone and executed the Orange Punch to Pena El Cerro Miedo and pinned him, and it was over. Which all that was cool. Match 4, it was Chris Statlander versus Penelope Ford. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Chris Statlander went over with the Big Bang Theory. Match 5, it was The Factory, which are QT Marshall, Aaron Solo, and Nick Comoroto versus the Nightmare Family, which are Dustin Rhodes, Billy Gunn, and Lee Johnson. That was a great match, but the ending to it, The Factory went over because QT Marshall pinned Lee Johnson because Anthony Ogogo interfered and done the punch in the stomach to Lee Johnson, and QT Marshall got pinned Lee Johnson, and it was over. But after the match, But after the match, Nick Comoroto attacked Dustin Rhodes with the cowbell, and Nick Comoroto, Aaron Solo, and Anthony Ogogo left and went backstage, and QT Marshall was still out in the ring, and the Gun Club, which are Austin and Colton Gunn, came out and started beating the shit out of QT Marshall, and QT Marshall left the ring and went backstage, went back to the Nightmare Family bus, and QT Marshall was getting ready to go into the bus, but Cody Rhodes opened the door of the bus and came out and started beating the shit out of QT Marshall, and QT Marshall done an eye rake to Cody Rhodes trying to get away, and QT Marshall climbed on the bus, and Cody Rhodes also climbed on the bus, and so did referee Aubrey Edwards, but Cody Rhodes and QT Marshall were beating the shit out of each other, and Cody Rhodes got the best of QT Marshall, and then Cody Rhodes executed the figure 4 leg lock to QT Marshall. Cody Rhodes done the figure 4 leg lock to QT Marshall, and after that, Cody Rhodes stood tall, which that was cool. And match 6, which was the main event, it was Darby Allin versus 10 for the AEW TNT title. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Darby Allin went over with a roll-up and retained match 6, which was the main event. It was Darby Allin versus 10 for the AEW TNT title. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Darby Allin went over and retained the AEW TNT title with a roll-up. After the match, Sting came into the ring and 10 helped Darby Allin up, and Darby Allin and 10 celebrated. As Darby Allin was celebrating his victory against 10 for the AEW TNT title, Darby Allin took 10's armband off. That was pretty much in tribute to Brody, to the late great Brody Lee, and Darby Allin took it off and handed it up to the sky, lifted it up to the sky, raised it up high, and so the rest of the Dark Order, which are Evil Uno, Stu Grayson, Alex Reynolds, Five, and Colt Cabana, left, and 10 followed them. And as they all left, Ethan Page came in the ring and attacked Darby Allin and beat the shit out of him. And Ethan Page came in and attacked Darby Allin and beat the shit out of him. And Scorpio Sky came in the ring and attacked Sting from behind with a chop block, and then as Ethan Page was beating the shit out of Darby Allin, Scorpio Sky was beating the shit out of Sting, and Scorpio Sky locked in the heel hook to Sting, and Ethan Page was holding Darby Allin down and having him making him watch Scorpio Sky execute the heel hook to Sting, and Sting rising in pain and everything. Well, Lance Archer, Jake the Snake Roberts, and 10 came out to make the save, but Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page retreated. And Lance Archer, Jake the Snake Roberts, and 10 stood tall while Sting and Darby Allin were laid out, which that was cool. But besides the matches, the Elite, which are Matt Jackson, the Elite, which are Matt Jackson, Nick Jackson, Kenny Omega, Doc Gallows, Carl Anderson, and Don Callis, were in the back of a limousine, and the Young Bucks were talking shit a little bit, and Don Callis was pretty much putting over putting over the Good Brothers, which are Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson, and the Young Bucks, which are Matt and Nick Jackson, and he was also putting over Kenny Omega, saying how he was the AAA Mega Champion, the AEW Champion, and now the Impact Wrestling Champion, and everything. And Kenny Omega was talking shit, talking about John Moxley and Eddie Kingston destroying the trailer that they worked so hard and paid thousands of dollars for and everything, and also talking about how he wasn't afraid of John Moxley or Eddie Kingston, and was talking about how Eddie Kingston wanted to fight him, but Kenny Omega was telling Eddie Kingston that he wasn't going to fight him, and while Kenny Omega was talking, the front windshield got destroyed, and Michael Nakazawa let him know that he let the Elite know, because Don Callis was bitching about it, and Michael Nakazawa was letting him know that he hit the wrong button and everything. And because where Michael Nakazawa was the driver and Brandon Cutler was the cameraman for it, because where the Young Bucks invited Brandon Cutler in before the promo started. Well, Kenny Omega was pretty much saying, where he wasn't afraid of John Moxley or Eddie Kingston, and was talking about saying that Eddie Kingston wasn't going to fight him. He was going to fight Michael Nakazawa and everything, which that was cool. Excuse me. Match two, I did the Elite. Jade Cargill cut a promo saying how Matt Hardy and Vicky Guerrero want her services and are wanting a certain percentage of hers, and Jade Cargill was pretty much saying that she don't work like that she works for her money, and that she's worth more than everything, and was saying that if Matt Hardy or Vicky Guerrero wanted her services, they better offer her better than what they're doing and everything, and was saying because she's that bitch and everything. That was cool. Tony Schiavone interviewed Britt Baker and Rebel, and Tony Schiavone was Britt Baker pretty much came up to Tony Schiavone and gave him a hug, and Britt Baker was talking about how she was how she is now the number, how she sticks to her. She was asking Tony Schiavone, she was like, I never lie, Tony. And Tony Schiavone said no, that she didn't lie and everything. And Britt Baker was talking about how she said she was going to work her way up to the rankings to be the number one ranked in the women's division to face Hikaru Shida for the AEW women's title and everything, and talking about how she done just that. And Britt Baker was pretty much talking shit about Hikaru Shida and everything, which that was cool. Tony Schiavone hosted the parlay between the Inner Circle, which are Chris Jericho, Jake Hager, Sammy Guevara, Santana, and Ortiz, and the Pinnacle, which are MJF, Wardlow, Shawn Spears, Dax Harwood, Cash Wheeler, and Tully Blanchard. And Tony Schiavone was getting ready to do a coin toss in it, but Shawn Spears cut Tony Schiavone off, saying they weren't going to do a damn coin toss, and was pretty much talking shit about the Inner Circle, and was talking shit to Sammy Guevara, saying that Chris Jericho was misleading him and everything, and then Sammy Guevara got on the microphone and was talking about how he'll start the match, the blood and guts. He'll start the blood and guts match. Sammy Guevara was pretty much saying, Sammy Guevara pretty much got on the microphone and was saying that how he was going to start the match and start the war, and was saying that he didn't believe Shawn Spears because he said that ever since Shawn Spears has been in the company, he's been nothing but a failure. And when he was in the other promotion, WWE, he was a failure there too, and everything. And then Cash Wheeler got on the microphone and was talking shit towards Proud and Powerful, which are Santana and Ortiz, saying how they didn't want the lapdogs of Chris Jericho's version of Santana and Ortiz in the blood and guts match. They want the original Santana and Ortiz in that match and everything. And then Dax Harwood was talking shit towards towards Proud and Powerful as well, saying how that he knows that they both have kids, and that he wanted them to give them a hug and a kiss and tell them that they're not going to be back and everything. And then Ortiz got on the microphone and was talking shit. Well, Ortiz got on the microphone and was saying that was telling Santana to calm down because he knows what they're trying to do. They're trying to get him worked up and everything. And Ortiz was talking about how the Inner Circle were going to beat the Pinnacle's ass and everything. And then Santana got on the microphone and was talking about how the Inner Circle was going to beat the Pinnacle's ass and everything as well. MJF got on the microphone and was saying that they need to handle things like an adult and everything, and was talking about how Chris Jericho, how he owed Chris Jericho a thank you, and because Chris Jericho's been demanding it for years since AEW has started, and was talking about how the Inner Circle was one of the greatest factions in AEW history, and how Chris Jericho always looks exhausted because his eyes are always bloodshot red, and he's always cutting great promos, and was saying that that he was going to take that burden off his shoulders and everything, and talking about how the Pinnacle were going to beat the Inner Circle's ass and everything. And then Chris Jericho got on the microphone and was talking shit towards MJF, saying how MJF said when he was 25 years old he was a curtain jerker, and Chris Jericho was pretty much saying that he was a curtain jerker at 25 because he wrestled all over the world and everything, and talked about how he earned his way into the business and how that was called respect and everything. And then Chris Jericho was talking shit towards MJF, also saying that that if he thinks he's just going to take his spot, then no, that's not how it works, and was talking about how the Pinnacle weren't going to make the Inner Circle submit or anything, and was talking about how they would have to kill him to get him to surrender and everything. And while before all that was going on, Tony Schiavone was pretty much saying that the Pinnacle won the parlay. So, yeah, pretty much that whole promo was on fire. I really enjoyed it. Like, that was a great promo. Michael Nakazawa was outside in the ring, and Eddie Kingston came out and was pretty much talking shit towards Michael Nakazawa, telling him to get out of the ring, that he wanted Kenny Omega. Well, Kenny Omega and Don Callis came. Well, Kenny Omega came out and was talking shit to Eddie Kingston. Yeah. Well, Michael Nakazawa was sitting out in the ring waiting on Eddie Kingston. Well, Eddie Kingston came out and was talking shit about was talking shit, saying that telling Michael Nakazawa to get out of the ring, that he wanted Kenny Omega. Well, Kenny Omega came out and was talking shit towards Eddie Kingston, saying that he wasn't going to fight him, that he was going to fight Michael Nakazawa. And as Kenny Omega was talking shit and Eddie Kingston was distracted, Michael Nakazawa attacked Eddie Kingston from behind with his laptop, and then Michael Nakazawa went for the Olympic slam, but Eddie Kingston countered it with elbows, and then Eddie Kingston done an exploder suplex, and then done the spinning back fist, pretty much laying Michael Nakazawa out. And Eddie Kingston placed a steel chair on the ankle of Michael Nakazawa, and Eddie Kingston was telling Kenny Omega that if he was gonna that if he didn't want him to break Michael Nakazawa's leg, then come down there and fight him. Well, Kenny Omega pretty much told Eddie Kingston to go ahead and break Michael Nakazawa's leg because he wasn't going to fight him, and that he was going to now fight Brandon Cutler. Well, Brandon Cutler came out, but he was thrown out of there, and Don Callis came out as well. Well, John Moxley was the one that threw Brandon Cutler out of the out on stage and everything, because Jon Moxley attacked Kenny Omega from behind, beating the shit out of him and threw him in the ring. And as Eddie Kingston had, while Eddie Kingston was distracting Kenny Omega, Jon Moxley locked in the sleeper hold and choked Kenny Omega out. Yeah, Jon Moxley did. Yeah, Jon Moxley choked Kenny Omega out with the sleeper hold, and as Kenny Omega was laid out, Eddie Kingston placed the steel chair on the ankle of Kenny Omega, and Don Callis was pleading Eddie Kingston not to break Kenny Omega's ankle. Don Callis was pleading Kenny Omega not to break. Don Callis was pleading Eddie Kingston not to break Kenny Omega's ankle, and Eddie Kingston was saying that if he don't give him what he wants, then he'll break. Eddie Kingston was telling Don Callis that if he don't give him what he wants, that he's going to break Kenny Omega's ankle. Well, Don Callis was pretty much trying to weasel out of it, saying that they'll work something out. Well, Eddie Kingston was getting ready to do it, but Eddie Kingston asked Jon Moxley to help him out and to tell Don Callis what they want. Well, Jon Moxley got on the microphone and told Don Callis that him and Eddie Kingston want Kenny Omega and Michael Nakazawa in a tag team match. Well, Don Callis was still trying to weasel his way out of it, and Don Callis was trying to weasel his way out of it, and Eddie Kingston was saying, Don, if you don't give us what we want, I'm going to snap at Kenny Omega's ankle. Well, Don Callis was pretty much kept saying that they'll work something out. Eddie Kingston said it's a yes or no. Well, Don Callis agreed to let it happen. So Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston ended up letting go of Kenny Omega and celebrated and everything, which that was cool. Sammy Guevara came out and cut a promo with Sammy Guevara came out and cut a promo with flashcards saying on May 5th on AEW Dynamite, the Inner Circle, that he is going to start the war and he's going to start the match, and he's going to be the first one to have Pinnacle blood on him and everything, which that was cool. And that whole segment with Jon Moxley, Eddie Kingston, Kenny Omega, Michael Nakazawa, Brandon Cutler, and Don Callis was cool. I forgot to say that. But yeah. Tony Schiavone interviewed Taz, and Tony Schiavone was pretty much asking Taz questions about where Team Taz was going and everything, and Taz was talking about how since Brian Cage beat Hangman Page, now Team Taz are number one. And Taz was also talking about how he has some unfinished business, and Christian Cage came along and was talking shit towards Taz, saying how Taz used to be a badass, but now he has lackeys to do everything for him, and was saying how he was an egomaniac and everything, and was saying that he already beat Powerhouse Hobbs, and was saying that he'll go through every member of Team Taz if he has to and everything. And Christian Cage left. So Christian Cage left, and then Tony Schiavone asked Taz another question about Team Taz and everything, but Taz didn't answer, which that was cool. 10 cut a promo about his AEW TNT title match against Darby Allin, and was talking about how he was chosen by the late great Brody Lee, and was talking about how he was going to win the AEW TNT title, and he was going to do it for the late great Brody Lee and everything, which that was cool. And Kip Sabian went backstage in Miro's locker room And as soon as Kip Sabian tried to explain to Miro, Miro grabbed Kip Sabian and threw him, started beating the shit out of him and everything. You know, like slamming him into walls, slamming him into lockers, choking him with a chain, and slammed his hand into the door. And then, as Kip Sabian was rising in pain, Miro hugged Kip Sabian and was saying that he forgave him and everything. And then Miro left, and Kip Sabian was still rising in pain, which that was cool. But besides all that, Jim Ross, Tony Schiavone, and Excalibur done commentary throughout the whole show. They done awesome as usual. Taz done guest commentary along with Jim Ross, Tony Schiavone, and Excalibur during the match between Brian Cage versus Hangman Page. Taz done great on guest commentary, and Don Callis done guest commentary along with Jim Ross, Tony Schiavone, and Excalibur during the match between the Young Bucks versus the Seidel brothers. Don Callis done great on guest commentary. The referees for the event were Rick Knox, Paul Turner, Bryce Remsburg, and Aubrey Edwards. Okay. Paul Turner refereed the match between Brian Cage versus Hangman Page. Rick Knox, that was Paul Turner. That was Paul Turner, by the way. Rick Knox refereed the match between the Young Bucks versus the Seidel brothers. That was Rick Knox, by the way. Bryce Remsburg refereed the match between Orange Cassidy versus Pena El Cerro Miedo. That was Bryce Remsburg, by the way. Aubrey Edwards refereed the match between Chris Statlander versus Penelope Ford. That was Aubrey Edwards, by the way. Paul Turner refereed the match between The Factory versus the Nightmare Family. That was Paul Turner, by the way. And Rick Knox refereed the match between Darby Allin versus 10 for the AEW TNT title. That was Rick Knox, by the way. All the referees done awesome as usual. Now, the match card for next week's AEW Dynamite, it's going to be the Inner Circle, which are Chris Jericho, Jake Hager, Sammy Guevara, Santana, and Ortiz, versus the Pinnacle, which are MJF, Wardlow, Shawn Spears, Dax Harwood, and Cash Wheeler in a Blood and Guts match. Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston versus Kenny Omega and Michael Nakazawa. Cody Rhodes versus QT Marshall. SCU, which are Christopher Daniels and Frankie Kazarian versus the Jurassic hold on, I forgot to cover one thing. After the match between the Young Bucks versus the Seidel brothers, SCU, which are Christopher Daniels and Frankie Kazarian, came out, and Frankie Kazarian was talking shit towards the Young Bucks on how their attitudes have changed and everything, and Christopher Daniels was talking shit towards the Young Bucks, saying how their attitudes have changed and everything, and that SCU were going to take the titles away from the Young Bucks, and Frankie Kazarian was talking about how that stipulation between that if SCU loses again, they'll no longer be a tag team and everything. Which that was cool. Now the match card for next week's AEW Dynamite, it's going to be the match card for next week's AEW Dynamite, it's going to be the Inner Circle, which are Chris Jericho, Jake Hager, Sammy Guevara, Santana, and Ortiz versus The Pinnacle, which are MJF, Wardlow, Shawn Spears, Dax Harwood, and Cash Wheeler in a blood and guts match. Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston versus Kenny Omega and Michael Nakazawa. Cody Rhodes versus QT Marshall. SCU, which are Christopher Daniels and Frankie Kazarian versus the Jurassic Express, which are Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus versus the Varsity Blondes, which are Brian Pillman Jr. and Griff Garrison versus the Acclaimed, which are Max Caster and Anthony Bowens, in a four-way tag team eliminator match, and Britt Baker versus a local competitor. So the match card next week for AEW, All Elite Wrestling's AEW Dynamite looks like it's going to be awesome. I'm looking forward to it. But anyway, I just wanted to come on here for a while and give them a review for All Elite Wrestling's AEW Dynamite from tonight, which is April 28th, 2021. Like I said, it was awesome from start to finish. And with that being said, my name is Austin Honecker, and I will catch your ass down the road.